So hi, my name is Natalie and I've been teaching and practicing yoga and tantric meditations and healing for the past, I would say about 8 to 10 years. And I recently started doing this YouTube channel. And in the past 2 weeks, I've had a lot of new subscribers and so many views and comments, and I love hearing from you guys. So thank you very much for joining my channel. I try and upload as many videos as I can because I love doing these videos. They help me understand things a lot more deeper, and I feel like when I pass on this information and these ideas, it maybe assists or helps people with their own issues. So I share issues to help with other people's issues, and it's been going amazing for now. I've just started this YouTube channel, so let's see where it goes. I wanted to talk today about this social anxiety that a lot of us have, specifically on dates or with people that we're interested in romantically. So a lot of people can be very self-confident and, be very open and talk to people. I know I'm that kind of person, but throughout my whole life, and a lot of people that I've talked to have also dealt with this, if there's someone who I have a crush on or I'm interested in romantically, intimately, if I want to have sex with them, if I'm attracted to them sexually, then suddenly I kind of freeze and I become this like weird version of myself. That doesn't happen to me today, by the way, because I've worked on this. But I have talked to people recently that they're going through something similar, and it did remind me of the journey that I went through on this topic. So once upon a time, before I was aware and connected to myself, I was a very confident person, but if I was next to someone who I was attracted to or I wanted to date or be involved with romantically, I would become a very different and stupider version of myself. I would stutter. I wouldn't be able to express myself or be myself, my true self, next to this person. And you could say like my worst version would come out, and that would repel that person, and probably nothing would come out of it. And it would happen, specifically with the people who I was interested in. So if I was on a date with a guy and I wasn't really interested in the guy and I wasn't attracted to him, then I would be like very open and very outgoing and very like me, and not even trying to impress him, just be like, oh, I'm off the hook. The guy doesn't interest me anymore, so I can just be me. And then with guys who I was interested in, I would be like very quiet, very shy, weird. I would say weird things, and the date would probably not end that well. Like ideally, we want it to be the other way around. If there's someone we're not interested in, then, why put the effort and energy into entertaining them compared to someone who I am interested in, where I want to be my best version, like my best self. And those are exactly the places where my worst self comes out. And this guy came to a group. I do groups in my house where we talk about intimacy and inner work to do with relationships and sexuality, but just in general, life, healing, inner work. And then we do an hour-long meditation, which is amazing, and I love it. And the last time I had this group, a guy came. He's like 50-something, silver fox, very good-looking, very connected. He, in his line of work, he heals people, he helps people. He's like a really good guy, but he's single. The whole romantic marriage thing didn't work out for him that well, and he's still dating. And again, very intelligent, very sensitive, very good looking. And he's telling us that on the last date that he went on, he was very attracted to this woman. He was very into her, and he found himself shut down in the middle of the date. He said the anxiety was so strong, he couldn't talk, and he just went silent, and he's scared that, he fucked it up. Maybe he did. But it's this situation. And I asked him, like, were you attracted to her? Yes. Were you into her? Yes. I was like, were you nervous? He said, yes, because I was into her. And then I realized, when we have a sexual interest in someone, when we're attracted to someone, when we want to have a connection with someone, what happens is the sexual energy, the sexual energy in our body is activated. It's like a button was pushed, and now the sexual energy is another energy that's inside of us working and doing its thing. And a lot of us will perceive sexual energy as a threat, as something dangerous, because we've had bad experiences, because we have bad memories, because, our subconscious has learned from reality, from our life, that sexual energy and romance is a dangerous thing. And then we go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, which has nothing to do with the actual situation. Like, we're on a date. We don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze. There is no danger. But our subconscious perceives the sexual attraction or the sexual energy as a dangerous situation because we've been hurt so many times in the past. And then our survival mode kicks in, and we become this weird version of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to be when we're on a date with someone who actually interests us. So we need to understand how the fight, flight, freeze works, how the survival mode works, when we're triggered, and why specific things trigger it. So if you're in a dangerous area of town and it's triggered, that makes sense. That's going to help us survive. If you're in a war zone and it's triggered, that makes sense. If you're in any kind of real danger and your survival, fight, flight, or freeze mode is activated, that is a good thing. That's going to help you survive that specific situation. But when our body and our subconscious perceives sexual energy and sexual intimacy as a threat, as a dangerous situation, that's going to send us into the fight, flight, or freeze mode. And instead of helping us in that situation, which it's supposed to do, like that's its origin, is to help us, it's going to ruin things for us because it's not appropriate to the situation we're in. There is nothing dangerous about being on a date with someone you're attracted to. There's nothing dangerous about mutually wanting to have intimacy and sexual relations. There's nothing dangerous. It might be dangerous for our emotions and for our heart. Again, because we might have been hurt in the past. We might have really bad experiences. We might have a lot of emotional blockages to do with women and love and romance. And then all of our pain, the untapped pain, is triggered on a date. The important thing that I wanted to point out is that the fight, flight, or freeze mode, the survival mode, we each have different triggers that will activate it. For a lot of us, maybe it's to do with CPTSD, maybe it's to do with growing up with narcissistic and emotionally unavailable parents. Like, I'm not sure, I am not a mental health professional, so please take in mind that I'm just talking from my own experience and inner work that I've been doing for the past 10 years. But for a lot of us, sexual energy is a trigger for survival mode. It is perceived as a dangerous situation that we need to protect ourselves from. And in our thinking mind, we know this isn't a dangerous situation, like not actually physically dangerous. We know that. But our subconscious is there to protect us. And once the sexual energy is activated, our survival mode might activate itself, and then we're going to be in the freeze mode maybe, and we won't be able to talk, won't be able to express ourselves in the manner that we want to. We won't be able to be authentic. And this is a real bummer for a lot of single people, because when you go on a date with someone, one of the signs that it was like a good date or you want to continue dating that person is that there was any kind of sexual energy activated, because without that, like, we can just be friends or whatever, but it's not going to go to another date, because, one of the end goals of dating and romance and relationships is to have sexual interactions with someone. That's normal. That's a good thing. We want to have that thing. So, we go on a date, we want to have sexual interaction and attraction to that person. But then when it happens, when we finally go on the date where we're actually attracted to someone, our survival mode kicks in, and now we're fight, flight, or freeze, and we can't perform or be ourselves or be authentic on this date that could have been amazing, but, it just triggered all of our pain, all of our past experiences, all of our fears. And then, so again, the end result is, on dates that I'm not really interested, I was amazing, I was just me. And on dates I'm very interested in, I can't be me. And it's that thing that we need to work on, all our past, the memories of our past, the pain that we are holding inside of our bodies. That is the work, the healing work that we need to do. First of all, we need to recognize that sexual energy activates our survival mode of the fight, flight, or freeze. And then we need to remind ourselves, it's not that it's not normal, but it might not be healthy, and it might not bring good results in my life, and maybe I want to find out and explore and deep dive into the reason that sexual energy is a trigger for my survival mode. And that is like the whole world of healing and Tantra. And, it's very hard to put it in a few sentences, but we're looking at signs that we're triggered. Not to be angry at ourselves for being triggered, but, if we're triggered by things that are actually dangerous, again, then fine. But if we're emotionally triggered by things that are not supposed to trigger us, that are good things that we want in life, then we're just going to be frustrated because the thing we want is the thing we're pushing away. And then we're in this endless loop of loneliness and pain and suffering and anger. So I do know that for a lot of people, sexual energy is not a trigger for survival mode. And I know that for a lot of people it is. And I was one of those people. So I did the work on that. And I suggest you do the work too if you feel like sexual energy is a trigger. And I also want to state, just last thing, yesterday I had a conversation with a guy and I'm talking to him about sexual energy, and he was translating it in his head to being horny. And so a lot of men, it's like, oh, if I'm horny, then I need to do something about it, then I'm going to jerk off or I'm going to have sex with this person. In my world, in the world of Tantra and healing and all of this energy work, sexual energy is an energy. It's something that we feel. It's a sensation in the body. It's not something that we need to act upon. It's not something that we need to immediately do something about. It's just an energy. It's a feeling. Sexual energy is a feeling, a sensation that we get with certain people. And I think the healthier way to look at it is not if I'm horny or not, if I want to have sex with her or not, but if I feel like the sexual energy in my body has been activated. For every person, it feels a little bit different. If you started to do like tantric masturbation meditations, then you will be more familiar with the sensations in the body when sexual energy is activated, because you're more familiar with it and you've done the work with it. And then when you're on a date and you start feeling these weird feelings, you'll be like, oh, I recognize this. This is sexual energy. And I know that this triggers me to fight, flight, or freeze. And then I want to act differently. And, I need to do the emotional work in order for that to be possible for me. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I love all the comments, all the people that have been sharing, and long comments that I've been reading that are really amazing. I know that there are always these comments that are going to be like bad comments. People don't like me, and I'm kind of used to that in life. I'm not everyone's taste. I'm kind of like Marmite in a way. You either love it or you hate it, and I get that. I also get that the more views I'm exposed to, the more negativity I'm exposed to, and I get that it's part of the job. But if you do want to comment your nice, genuine, authentic comments and tell me how you feel about this subject, I would love to hear about it. And I do upload these videos definitely weekly. So if you want to get more content like this, you're more than welcome to subscribe and to like. And I will see you soon in my next video. And thank you for listening.